Hey there. I hope there's not a lag. It looks like there is. Here we go. Here we go. Good morning, KW. Happy Monday Motivation. And it is Juneteenth, so happy Juneteenth. So I am coming to you live from my house. And this is not a controlled environment. So you might hear my Katie bug bark. There's new construction going on over here in phase 3. So they get started really early. So listen, we've got coffee and we've got the one thing. Right now, I'm not seeing anyone popping on with me this morning, but that's okay because this is going to be recorded. Let me go ahead on and hit record. Right. So today on Monday Motivation, going through the One Thing book, we are still working in the lies that we have heard and the myths that we have understood about what happens and what it looks like to be successful and what we have to be or what we don't have to be. So today we're talking about a disciplined life. And I know many of you probably have said, and I know I personally have said or thought, gosh, I just need to be more disciplined, right? I got to be more disciplined. If I were only more disciplined, I would look so much more in shape and I would have lost that extra 20 pounds. And the thing is, it's one of the most prevalent myths that's really out there in our culture about self-discipline. And I said there is a persuasive idea, and it is persuasive, that the successful person is a disciplined person who lives a disciplined life, right? And it's a lie. So one of my previous coaches and mentors with the Southeast region, if anybody was going to say someone was disciplined and had that picture, it would be him. And truth be told, he just has many amazing, great habits. And it's like this, okay, rinse and repeat. And he lives an extraordinary life because of those habits. It's not necessarily that he's disciplined. In fact, he's told me before, which was very comforting to me, that he was a hot mess in a lot of areas of his life, finance, relationship, business, all the things, and even his health and his, what he was doing with his own body and his health and his weight and all the things. So he was over here, and habits that he created led him over here, not necessarily because he's more disciplined than someone else. So contrary to what most people believe, success is not a marathon of disciplined action. And achievement doesn't require you to be a full-time disciplined person. Let me let Stevie in the room. So it's every action is trained and there is control in every situation. So it says that success is actually a short race, which makes my heart happy when they said the word marathon, right? So a sprint fueled by discipline, just long enough for a habit to kick in and to take over. So we just need a habit of doing it. And we need just enough discipline to build the habit. So maybe there's someone else hopping in. Hang on just a moment. Maybe it's we don't want to do the habits because we don't want to get bored with the habit and be like, I don't know about you, but being on disciplined 24/7 and very rigid constantly does not excite me. I'm like, nope. That doesn't excite me whatsoever. And at the same time, I just need to remember, we've been talking about what's the one thing that we can do, such by doing so, everything else becomes unnecessary and really not as important, right? So in all the different places of your life, to have this, what we think is like the disciplined life, just really needs to be one core habit that you surround that one thing question around. So what's the one thing in my health that can create a cascade of a lot of other things being amazing just because I focused on one? What's the one thing in my finances? What's the one thing in my relationship? What's the one thing in my business? And you don't have to be rigid and of all like a lot of different things in those areas. You just have to be disciplined long enough to create a habit around the one thing. So that makes it feel a little bit better in my mind. I don't know about you guys, but that was like, okay, I can do that. I can make that happen. So it's just about success is just where discipline and habit ultimately intersect. And remember that working regularly at something until it regularly works for you. So a lot of folks talk about, building a habit. And so there's a tool that this one thing that there's, I don't know if I told you guys at the beginning, there's a website, theonething.com, that has there's a podcast attached to this. There's forms as we go through. There's some goal setting. There's some things on there that are resources for you, and they're free. You don't have to pay to be in that, right? You can go do that. So all we have to do is discipline ourselves and train ourselves to act a specific way and stay there long enough for it to become a routine. So do any of you guys have a routine that you always do? Like if you don't do it, it could be something really small. It could be like drinking orange juice every morning. When you're out of orange juice, it's like, I don't know if I can function without my glass of orange juice. It's just that much of a habit that it becomes like that in our spirit. And we've created a habit about doing that over and over to, well, it feels weird when we don't do it. That's how you know you have a habit, is when you've done something over and over, and then when you can't do it, something's off in you. And that's how you know that it's in you, right? So we have to just be trained to do a handful of habits over our lives. And it makes successful people seem disciplined when they're really not, because they're not disciplined every single second of the day. It just looks that way to us, right? Because they have picked up on the right habits, not just any habit, but the right ones, to make a domino effect happen in whatever is going on with them. Have you ever seen, like you don't notice it until the big stuff happens, like some dominoes have fallen in the past. Have you ever seen someone who was working on their health, and maybe they had a lot of weight to lose, and you saw them, and then you saw them, and you saw them, and then one day you saw them, right? You're like, wow, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, you want to get their secret pill, right? And you probably signed up for it. Hi. Anyway, you see that, but what you haven't seen is just the discipline over time, because they didn't just wake up like that. They spent a lot of habit making, creating things in their world. And then you saw the result of it. And you were like, well, they're just so much more disciplined than I am. Right. So it really is something that maybe they changed. And it could have even been, I'm going to drink all my water every day. So there's another book called The Ripple Effect. That's it takes this, and it was like, okay, when you do the one thing and you create the habit around it, then ripples happen everywhere in other areas, because you're getting better at this one thing, and naturally you get better at other things. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. And so if you start looking at it, you'll see those ripples that happen from the one thing that you picked up. Your one thing might have been like, you know what, I've been just drinking my water every day, and I've been getting, the amount I'm supposed to get, and I've created that habit, and that's all I've been focused on. And then all of a sudden you're like, I think I'm gonna have a salad. I think I'm gonna cut some other junk out. And so it ripples into other areas when you do that. So no one is completely disciplined, and no one wants to be. And no one wants to be like that. So every bit of your life being molded and maintained in this rigid thing does not seem exciting, and it's very boring. And that's why people don't even go there, because they think that that's what it's going to be like. No one wants to sign up for it. So you don't need to be disciplined to be successful. You just need to, you can become successful with less discipline than you think. And for one simple reason, success is about doing the right thing, not doing everything right. I like that. I highlighted that on the bottom of page 55. So the trick to success is to choose the right habit and bring just enough discipline to establish it. That's it. Guys, we got this. We've got this, right? So there's an example of Michael Phelps, and he, as a child, he was diagnosed with ADHD. And his kindergarten teacher told his mother, like this got me all fired up right here, this paragraph. I was ready to rise up with Michael's mama. So it was like, Michael can't sit still. Michael can't be quiet. He's not gifted. Your son will never be able to focus on anything. And his coach since age 11 reports that Michael spent a lot of time on the side of the pool with the lifeguard for being disruptive. Okay, and so some of us have been Michael, and some of us have had Michael in our world, right? So the same misbehavior has cropped up from time to time in his adult life, like he had that within him. And yet he set dozens of world records. Okay, now his one thing was swimming every day, every single day. He got in the pool and he would swim. Now he did this for several hours a day, and he decided nobody else was going to spend every single day. The difference for him was that he was going to train and practice that extra one day a week where everybody else gave themselves a day off. All right. And because of his ability to focus on that one thing that he wanted to do, is where he had 22 gold medals. And he's the most decorated Olympian in sport. So his ability to focus amazes me, his mother said. And to think that someone told him early on that he wasn't going to be able to, right? So he figured out that trainings on Sundays gave him a 52 training day discipline edge. And so he channeled his energy into that. So one habit for him was swimming day. The paying off from developing the right habit is pretty obvious, and it gets you from success. It gets you to the success you're searching for. It says when doing the right thing can liberate you from having to monitor everything. Because I think we want to be hall monitors of every single thing, and we think we have to do all of it to make everything happen. So what they found in research around creating the habit, like, I don't know if any of you watching on Facebook Live have heard, because I always all my life heard it takes 21 days to make a habit. Anyone else heard that? Like that's kind of the magic number. Well, I can tell you for me, it's not 21. I'm extra. It takes me like even way longer than the number in the book, because when you track something, you know. Right. So when I remember the test I told you, when you understand that when you don't do something, you feel off and you feel weird because you didn't do it, that's when you know you've done it. And you might figure out, if you do this challenge, what your number is, and it might be less. It might be 21. You might be the 21 person, and that's fabulous. So habits are only hard at the beginning. The challenge of creating the one thing habit is only hard at the beginning, and then it becomes easier, right? So we have to power through that. Habits require much less energy and effort to maintain than it does to begin. So what Gary has in here that says, through the research, because he's a research guy, that the full range of habit creation was anywhere from 18 days doing something sequentially to 254 days. I wasn't quite there. I'm somewhere in the 90-day range, right? But 66 days was the sweet spot. So if you've ever heard of, say, we need to do a 66-day challenge, or if you've ever watched Marty Miller, who is the guru of giving us really small videos about command, how to do a SMART campaign in 5 minutes or less. He did a 66-day challenge. So that's what his program's called. So you have 66 days of videos to set up command. That's where that number came from, is from the One Thing book and the 66-day challenge. So self-help circles tend to preach the 21 days, but Gary says that modern science doesn't back that up, that it may take longer than that. So students from this research so that there's kind of a halo effect around habit creation. And those that successfully acquired at least one positive habit decreased their stress. They had less stress. They were less impulsive in spending money. Their habits in their diet, they were better. They decreased alcohol and tobacco and caffeine consumption. Cheers. Right. A few lesser hours watching television. So see how that ripple effect was happening. There's a halo around it, and sustain the discipline long enough to just get one habit. Don't go like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do like 15 habits today around the 66-day challenge. It's one habit, and pick the one that's going to be most impactful, the one thing, right? And those that have the right habits seem to do better than others. So doing the most important thing regularly, as a result, everything else is easier. So here's Gary loves the hockey stick. You'll see him do this model in a lot of things. You saw it with the 201 Club, where we discovered through AI and through all of the data from agents across the country using Command, that those that had 201 plus contacts in Command using a drip where they're communicating systematically, right? That the 201 was the star. So 66 is the star here. 201 was the star where things started scaling. Okay, things were better. So discipline and time, 66 days is the habit. So how long is it going to take you to be automatic in the one thing that helps you to get better in your life? What's that one thing for you that such by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So what you need to know is when you go to theonething.com, there is a 66-day challenge form, and it looks like a calendar, and darn it, I'm at home and I didn't bring that with me. So I'm empowering you to go. Let me see, there's not a picture of it, to that you can print it off. You can print you a couple, okay? Because what happens is you're going to hang it up. It's just a regular sheet of paper, prints off on the copier. And every day you're going to decide your one thing. Across the top, it's got a lot of different categories that you get to choose. You might choose that you want to focus on your health. That might be your one thing right now, that everything else will get better when you have more energy and all the things. So you get to choose that. You're going to write it, what the one thing, not two things, not three things, just one. Drinking more water, walking a mile a day, doing your lead generation every day, and make it a SMART goal, make it specific, right? Drill it down. Then you're going to mark off every day that you do it. You can make an X in the box. It's going to have, the boxes are blank, so you can write the numbers in. No, I think there's 61 through 66, but I think you can write the date on that too when you're getting started. So when you don't do the one thing in one box, it's okay if you miss it once. It's okay if you miss it twice. But if you don't do it more than 2 days, if you miss doing the thing you want to create a habit around, you have to toss that paper, put another one up, and start over. Okay. I know it's just like, oh, because you're creating the habit. And if you go more than 2 days, you're creating the habit the other way, right? Because you can do that. You can create a different habit of not doing it. So you want to create the habit of getting it done, not forgetting to do it. So you're going to reset it, and that's going to make you reset. Okay, I got it. Don't beat yourself up over it. You're creating a system, and it'll be like that orange juice. When you don't drink your orange juice, you're going to feel weird. And an example, I had chosen a habit of creating a calendar, like my day being calendared every day. Okay. And then when I went on vacation, it felt weird because I wasn't calendaring everything. Now, some of you go on vacation and you calendar that. You have an agenda for everything, every ride you're doing at Disney World and what time we're going to be there. Right. So, it felt really awkward. I'm like, something's off. I feel really weird not having, what I'm supposed to be doing in my calendar every day. So you guys, it's a really great tool that you have for you to start getting the right habits in place every day, because we all have habits. Whether or not they help us be successful or not is the big question. So I know I see Stevie and Sandra on here, and I know a bunch of you are on Facebook Live right now because you comment, and I get to see those when I hang up from Facebook Live here on Zoom. So I want you to put on the chat, or you guys can say, if you've been thinking about this, what do you want to do your 66-day challenge around? What are you committed to starting for your 66-day challenge habit? And there's no judgment about what it is. Anybody got any, have you guys been thinking about what that might be? Do you want to get started on a 66-day challenge, or you're like, you know what, I got to think about that. I haven't figured out my one thing yet, Sally, for heaven's sake. Okay. Well, I can tell you, my one thing is to go to the gym right now, 3 days a week. That's my habit. So when I do that, a lot of things in my health life will get so much better. Okay, so I'm going to say it out there. I've not done 3 days a week every week. I've had one day where I've done one, and another week where I've done two, and then one week where I didn't do any. So I get so much better and feel so much better and have more energy when I do that. And so for health, in my health bubble form, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to print a 66-day challenge up and hang it up in my office, and you guys can see that. Any questions? We are stopping early. My dog's been so good so far. She's just had a little small harumph over here on the side, not anything major. And she had a busy day yesterday with a lot of people at my house, so she barked a lot. I'm having a party for my son. He'll be 30 in July, and she's going to the doggy spa that day. She's going to have a day for herself over there because it was very busy yesterday. Okay, so Sandra, thank you for the chat. All right, I love that. I think we get more focused when we do some kind of a thing for it. We've got to take care of us, right? You have to put your oxygen mask on first before you can put it on somebody else, for sure. Guys, I know you're going to have a fabulous day today and a wonderful, productive week. I hope that the things that you choose that are powerful this week for the one thing, you start seeing successful results from that. Share them with me. I'd like to hear them. And as always, let me know if I can help you with anything. Let's see, what are we going to talk about next week? Let's see. We're going to talk about willpower is always on will call. I can stop, drop, and summons my willpower, right? We're going to talk about that lie. There's some really good information with that one. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a fabulous Monday.